Hi people, what's going on? And today we're starting a new series called Personal Opinions of Pokemon. First of all, some of you may have realized that the background here is different. Well, don't worry, this is temporary. We're currently just using somebody else's space while we work on our space. Okay. So now, on to the episode. First of all, we're going to be talking about Farfetch'd.
Duck shape or duck clock? Duck clock like?
Farfetch'd is just a duck-looking Pokemon with a triangular unibrow and has a leek. In its original version, the leek is small and he carries it around everywhere. But in its other form, the leek is larger than itself and he has to drag it everywhere. This form is called Galarian form because it specifically appears in the Galar region. This Galar region form also has a special thing that the original Farfetch'd does not, which is the capability of evolution. Farfetch'd originally is a normal and flying type Pokemon, but in its new form, it became a fighting type. Its normal version would usually be brown, has a small leek that it carries around, and is usually seen very happy. Even comparing to other duck Pokemon, Farfetch'd is the smaller one. Farfetch'd is a Pokemon that started out in Generation 2, but it only became naturally available in Generation 8. In all the previous generations, it's one of the rare Pokemons that is either usually traded or a specific Pokemon you can find in a specific way. Now, while Farfetch'd did start out in Generation 2, it's only now gained popularity in Generation 8. So, the reason it's now gained popularity is because of its new form and evolution known as Snowfate. Now, Snowfate is completely different from Galarian Farfetch'd. The difference between Galarian Farfetch'd and Snowfate is the fact that Snowfate has a white feather coat and looks knightly, while Galarian Farfetch'd has a black feather coat and looks like it beats people up. Snowfate also has two leek-like things, a shield and a spear. Now, a quick little thing, we mentioned about Farfetch'd's unibrow, right? Snowfate has a bigger, thicker one that's more open than Farfetch'd's perfect triangular one. No, it looks like. Do you remember Major Monogram from Phineas and Ferb? That. Another fun little tidbit about Snowfate, his unibrow makes him look like more general-like and less angry, and he constantly has this smirk on him whenever he fights. And now, it's actually time for me to talk about my personal opinions about Farfetch'd and Snowfate. Now, to start off on my personal opinions, I don't really have one, I've never used one, and I don't usually find any of them anyway. So, the amount of things I know about it is based on story missions and other people playing it. Honestly, I think Farfetch'd and Snowfate look a little bland. I mean, if you see Farfetch'd, not many of you will actually realize this thing is a Pokemon. It literally looks like it's just a normal duck. Snowfate, well, looks better because it has that knight motif on him, still looks like a regular duck. If you take away his spear and shield, what does he have? A unibrow. Literally, that's it. And another thing about Farfetch'd and Snowfate, they're relatively on the weak side of the spectrum. Even with getting the stat boost of evolution, the two still have uneven stats, which causes it to not be able to actually fulfill what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a physical attacker. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the defense or the speed of doing it. And finally, its rarity. Now, before Generation 8, it was nearly impossible to just find a Farfetch'd in the wild. and even in Generation 8, the chances of you getting a Farfetch'd is still pretty slim, because not only do you have to find one, they tend to avoid you. Because in Generation 8, Pokemon actually can either try to avoid you or try and chase after you. In other words, considering Farfetch'd is a small Pokemon, it's gonna run away from you. And that's all for today's episode of Personal Opinions of Pokemon. Hope you enjoy it. See ya!